Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. Today, we will be going over the vehicle and equipment and meals and equipment application for ALTSD. The application opened this last week, so we were officially a week tomorrow. So we're happy that you're joining us. Joining me is also Consuelo Montoya, who is the PSA for 5 and 6. She's your project coordinator for Tribes, Pueblos, and Nation. And I'm Tasha Martinez. I'm the Capital Outlay Bureau Chief for Aging and Long-Term Services Capital Outlay Division. And I'm responsible for PSA 1, which is Bernalillo County. Not here, or perhaps on the call, not on the call, is Lori Zuniga. She is the project coordinator for PSA 4, and Stephen Lacey, who's also not available today, but he's the project coordinator for PSA 2 and 3. Joining us to present today is Christy Tafoya. She's our contractor who's really worked really hard alongside myself to get this application to you in a new system. So she's going to share her screen. So let's go ahead and get started. So as mentioned, I am Tasha Martinez, the Bureau Chief, and Christy Tafoya will be discussing, she'll be doing the majority of the talking. Next slide, please. So everyone is familiar. Capital Outlay Bureau is responsible for coordinating the funding and administering of capital projects for senior centers statewide. This helps with, we work with planning and outreach. We work with capturing applications from senior centers regarding capital needs. We also have emergency funding. We provide eligible funding information to the state legislature, and we coordinate emergency funding. Just to give you like a brief overview, this last year, we had the application open for 2025, and of those, which goes to the legislature in just a matter of weeks, of those, we received 167 applications. Of those, 105 were approved and moved to our ICIP. This year, we're asking for a little over $34 million for capital outlay. That encompasses many of the senior centers that you are working for. We did have some that were denied because the applications were incomplete or the planning wasn't sufficient for us to feel that the project was going to be completed. Next slide, please. Oh, really quick housekeeping. If everybody could keep their selves on mute, would be fantastic. Thank you so much. If not, you might see me muting you, so don't be offended, please. So this is a staff. Myself, this is all of our contact information. So as I mentioned, I'm responsible for PSA 1, Steve Lacey. There's his contact, 2 and 3. PSA 4 is Lori Zuniga with her contact information, and Consuelo Montoya for PSAs 5 and 6.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the whole application process that's been modified from last year. So if you responded last year with an application, things are going to look a little bit different for you. We'll be talking about fiscal and facility information, which will go along with each application type. So we need to know who you are and information about your facility. And then today we'll be talking about specifically vehicles and equipment and meals and equipment. And provide you with some resources and timelines as well. Tasha, you're muted.
I forgot I was muted. So as we go through and talk about these applications, as Christy mentioned, we are moving to a new system that's called Bonfire. It's going to look very different, and hopefully it's going to be more streamlined and easier for you. But we want to make sure that as you're thinking about your applications and preparing for those, your application should identify your planning process, how you're going to proceed with this. If it's going to be new construction, we definitely need to know what that process is going to look like. You have less than 4 years to really complete new construction. That's not a lot of time, so we need to make sure that you're going to be okay to complete that within that timeline. We also need to see the need for immediate action. If you've outgrown your facility and you're going to be completing an addition, we need to see those numbers and what the immediate action is going to be or the need for that. If it's going to be for safety or code compliance, we are asking for you to identify the type of code or safety compliance that needs to be done, completed, and to show proof of that. Of course, we always need to see the need for funding. We separately, I love that that there's capital outlay funding specifically for senior centers. I wish there was such a thing for rec centers and libraries, but I think it's fantastic that senior centers have funding set aside for them, but we do need to see that there's a need. Again, going back with the planning process, we need to see that the project is ready to go. So if you've already completed the planning and design and you're onto the new construction, we want to make sure that you're phased out and you're being realistic about the project readiness and having it available in phases. And of course, the most important one, the ability to complete the project. Thank you, Christy.
You're welcome.
Me again. Okay, so when we're looking for criteria to select this last year, just so we can give you an idea of what goes into reviewing applications. Once all the applications have been submitted and the deadline has closed, ALTSD staff reviews all of the applications for completeness. We want to make sure that we have a complete packet or application, including applicant facility owners, funding history. We want to make sure that we've received all of the documents so that way we can ensure that the quotes or the certifying letter have been completed. And we also, so before we complete that review, if we find that some applicants have not completed all of the information, the team does reach out to those. And this last year, it was myself and 2 contractors that were reaching out via email or voicemail, phone call to reach out to those entities so we could get a complete application. After that, we have 3 separate teams that are reviewing and scoring the applications. We have from Aging and Long-Term Services a team. We have a team from DFA who's reviewing for more of the fiscal aspect. And then we have a team from the non-metro that's reviewing the applications. So each of these applications it has been at least viewed by 4 different people before it even makes it to the final call. So a strong application needs to have complete information. We also really look for a strong project narrative. Christy will go into this later when she's looking through the sections, but this is one of the highest points for scoring is in the project narrative. We want to be able to visualize what you see for your senior center. So make sure that you're giving us a really good project narrative and not just a couple words. We also want to see that there's a plan in place, whether it be for purchasing vehicles or upgrading an entire facility. We need to see what that plan is going to look like. This leads to our timeline, so we can make sure that you guys are going to make it past the end and be able to complete your project, as well as we need to see that your application has the required uploaded quotes and documents. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you. So the way that the application has been modified for this coming year, we have 5 different project types and categories. Planning and design, new construction, code compliance, renovation, and addition. Those are 3 of the kind of facility-oriented building types of applications. We'll be talking about those tomorrow. So if you are interested in joining us, we will share more information about that. But today we will be talking about vehicles and equipment and meals and equipment. So here's some details with regard to each one of those category types. And if you can take a look at the 2 at the bottom, vehicles and equipment and meals and equipment. Vehicles and equipment, of course, are for the transport of people to your senior centers or goods and equipment. And many of your senior facilities need minivans or passenger vans, or they need vehicles in order to transport things to and from your senior facility. Vehicle equipment can include things like meal delivery equipment. So those are kind of the areas that we're interested in learning more from you about. With meals and equipment, of course, to cook those fabulous meals that you cook at your senior facilities, to serve food, as well as furniture, desks, and physical fitness equipment. Those are some examples of the types of equipment that are included in this category. So The Aging and Long-Term Services Department has transitioned into a new system. This is called Bonfire, which is a software platform that is being utilized to make it easier for requests for proposals and contracts, but it's also something that the Capital Outlay Bureau has been working very hard to craft so that you have a good portal for your applications for your senior facility projects, and to also make it easier for evaluators to access this information and evaluate in a streamlined way. Yes, we have just rolled out this new system on January 8th. So it is a week within the process, and so far so good. But we are here to provide you with training in terms of how to access this new portal and to utilize it effectively. So the things that have changed, of course, is the application process. You will be able to create yourself or your facility as a vendor in the system in order to access. You will be able to upload and download different aspects of the application process. The nice thing about doing that, at all steps along the way, you will be notified if you have a complete application. And I'll show you some examples of that as we go along. And I'm certainly open for questions as we kind of move through the whole process. So you will immediately know if fields are complete. I know that the Capital Outlay Bureau and Tasha worked very hard to streamline this process, and she can share a little bit about the input that she received from you and from stakeholders to do so.
So after this last application process and going through it for the first time myself, I wanted to see what you guys thought and reached out to quite a few of you to get your input. So we already knew we were going to be changing to Bonfire to use it as our platform. Hopefully it's going to be a lot easier for you as a vendor, which is what you guys will be called for this. But we also wanted to go through and delete questions that were not, they were informative, but they were not necessarily relevant to the application process, like asking what your monthly utility bills are, or, questions like that. But we also decided we were going to remove the subject matter expert form. Yes, hold your applause. I know there was a lot of people in rural, especially in rural areas, that this was a difficult form to get completed. So we didn't understand the necessity of it, so we removed it. But we did add a section on deferred maintenance to make sure that your fiscal agents are aware that they're responsible for deferred maintenance, whether it's for a $18,000 oven or fridge or vehicles or, maintaining the building. We are now going to be requesting to see a budget line specifically for this capital outlay to ensure that budgeting or funding is being set aside to help with deferred maintenance. With the evaluation process, I had mentioned before, now this will be a lot more streamlined, so the review will be a lot easier and not so fragmented, and you should be getting updates as we go through the process, and then notification and the agreement process. So when you complete the application, as Christy will make sure you're informed and you'll get to see, you will get an email that tells you that you've submitted for what applications. You won't have to wonder anymore to see if you completed it and then perhaps start like a second application for that. This will let you know what applications have been submitted and give you a record of that. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you. And in order to help you walk through the process, we've created an application manual. This will provide you with step-by-step instructions with screenshots. So you will know what to do for each page that you encounter in the Bonfire system. It will provide you with information on saving, uploading, and downloading into Bonfire, and it'll provide you with resources for more information, and that will be on the Capital Outlay Bureau website. So today we'll be talking about applicant and facility information, vehicles and equipment, and meals and equipment. The first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to create yourself as a vendor in Bonfire. There's a whole bunch of information with regard to that and a whole separate video related to creating yourself as a vendor. Once you have, you will be able to log into Bonfire through the Aging and Long-Term Services portal. providing your address and the password that you created. You will then be put upon a page that shows you all of the great information about the different projects. Please note that your projects are different counties. Wherever your senior facility is, that is a project. So the example that I show is the Bernalillo County test that we ran. So that is a project, and that encompasses all the senior facilities in Bernalillo County. You'll see that this page shows the project details with the project name, the reference number. It shows that it is a Capital Outlay Bureau project. And this is called an RFA, or request for applications. It will show the open date and the close date. Just please note this was a test. So this was showing the open and close date, how many days are left for this application. So this will be January 8th through April 8th. So you do have time in order to work through this whole process. Review the project details and ensure that you have selected the proper county. Then you will need to scroll down to the supporting documentation section, and you will need to download question sets. Question sets are going to be where you provide your information. This is the most critical part of the application process. The first question set that you will need to download, you can see the download button here, is fiscal and facility information. As I mentioned before, fiscal and facility information is tied to each of the application types, application categories. So we need to know fiscal information about your facility and the basic facility information for each of the subsequent application types. If you are interested in meals and equipment, then you would download that question set. If you're interested in vehicles and equipment, you can download all of these question sets if you're interested in applying for all of these. So this is your opportunity to download this information, and you will then need to save it. So you click on download. You'll then download the file at the top right-hand corner of your computer, and then open the spreadsheet. So it's a protected spreadsheet that you'll be working from, and you'll click on Enable Editing, and then you'll need to save it. So I would recommend that you create a folder where you have your applications, put the name of the type of application you're applying for, as well as your senior center name in the file name, and save it. So you can see an example here of how I did that. That's the area where you will need to save, and save often so that you don't lose your information. So that's going to be really critical at each step here. So save your question sets. You'll then go into the Bonfire portal, and you'll need to select decisions. So this is where you're actually telling Bonfire, these are my facilities, this is my facility, and this is the type of application I'm applying for. So you see facilities, this is an example for Bernalillo County of Borrellas Senior Center. In this case, I selected all for Borrellas Senior Center, and I want to apply for all of these different application types. So you just click on the box next to those, and it turns blue and is a white check mark. So you will then click step 2 to upload your files. Okay, so decisions, basically select decisions. It's your facilities and your project types. Okay. So then the other thing that I want to point out is that in this area in Bonfire, you will automatically have your information saved. You need to save your question sets in a separate area, but your application itself that you've been working on, and if you've uploaded information into it, it will automatically save, and it will save as a work in progress. So you'll be able to see on that front facing page, work in progress, and you'll be able to click on actions and edit and be able to go right back to the work that you were doing with regard to that application. So you will be able to step away and then return later if you need to with your application. Okay. So let's talk at first about applicant and facility information. This is the very first step in this whole process, where you need to identify you as an applicant, your title, and basic facility information. That is going to be the required information at the very beginning. And you will need to upload some information with regard to this, which includes things like your current ICIP, your e-signature or letter memo that states that you are the person to be able to apply, that type of thing. And this is what that looks like. So when you see this and you see a red dot, that means it's required information, and you will need to fill out the box and click save. So for example, applicant name, put your name, type it into this box and click save. So you'll need to do that each time. And once you save it, you will see the red turn to green. So green is good to go. You will also need, for required information, to provide that e-signature or letter memo I mentioned. So you'll need to upload that. Click on upload file and it will allow you to upload it. And you can see I did that and it turned green. You'll need to upload your current ICIP, and you will optionally be able to upload the history of your facility. So those are important text box that you will need to fill out at the very beginning in order to move forward. So now I'm going to move you kind of back and forth between question sets and downloads. Okay, so mentioned question sets before. This is the instructions page for the fiscal and facility information question set. Please read all the instructions. You'll note the instructions tab at the very bottom here for that question set. You will be able to then click on 1 and 2 for fiscal and facility information. There are 2 question sets that you'll need to work from. So let's see. This is the fiscal certification information question set, tab number 1. And you'll need to fill this out completely. You'll see the response column and the comment column, and you see the status column is incomplete in pink, right? So you'll need to just kind of walk through this whole process. Is the current budget filed with the state auditor? You have a drop down, you can say yes, or you can say no and explain why, what's going on with your current budget. Is the operating budget approved by DFA and the Finance Bureau of your local government division? And you can provide more information in your comment box, and you can see that turns green. Provide information about operating. Did you submit your financial quarterly reports to CPMS? So that'll be important to have your quarterly reports uploaded. Provide your current ICIP number, and then in the upload section, you'll be able to upload that ICIP. It needs to be current. And then there's some information about certifications and fiscal agents. So Tasha, can you share a little bit about the difference between the 2 of those?
Hold on.
Sure.
That's what happens when technical difficulties. So we want to make sure the difference for the certifying title or name is going to be those individuals that have the authority to sign into an agreement. This would probably be the same individual who would sign your IGA versus the fiscal agent. We're requesting this information because there are going to be times that we need to make direct contact with them. And this will be somebody that will be working with it could also be the same finance person, but we want to make sure that we have some entities that are run by a nonprofit, but the counties. So we want to make sure that we have that current information available to us and we know who to contact. There's been a lot of transition in employment, a lot of turnover, and we want to make sure that we're not wasting anyone's time and we're contacting the right individuals. With that, I want to make sure that if you do receive an email and there's 4 other people copied on the email, the intention is to make sure that the information is being provided to everyone who is involved in this project. So just know that the intention is to try and share as much information as possible. So because our goal is to get your projects to the finish line and getting them completed. But there's that discussion. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. So you put your certifying official title and ensuring that you uploaded the certifying official for all applications, and then who your fiscal agent is. And you can see there were 16 questions in this question set. I filled out the information and we're at 100% complete, all green, good to go. Do you have questions about that? Do you have any questions about the fiscal certification information? Okay. If you think of one, just feel free to pop it in the chat or raise your hand and we'll talk. So this is the facility information question set. That's number 2. Again, you have information that's in the response category, the comment category, and you can see right now we're incomplete. And then you just need to walk through all of these questions. What's the facility name? What's the contact name? What's your phone number? What is the email? What is the website? Who owns the facility? Is it a city, county, town, village, pueblo, nation, tribe? Is it private? Who owns the facility? And if it's managed by a nonprofit, we'll need information with regard to that if there's an agreement in place. What sources of funding were used to improve the facility in the last few years? And what repairs or improvements have been made? What is the size of the facility in square feet, and is it sufficient in size, yes or no? If you're wanting renovations, you can provide a little information there. It's not sufficient in size. We need to enlarge the facility. How about the location? Is it easily accessible to those who are being served? Is it a multi-generational center? And here you have the opportunity to provide your history. If you have uploads, that's an optional upload for you. If you have more information about the history of your facility that you want to share, if you feel that'll make it for a stronger application. What is your current condition of the facility and supporting infrastructure? How many seniors attend the facility daily? What's the average? Does your local government provide operating staff? Yes or no? And if it's no, explain in the comment box. List all other sources of program funding. Do you have AAA funding? Do you get local in-kind grant funding or other? If applicable, what is your tribal interface with tribes or pueblos? Have you met with your procurement representative to ensure that they are in on the plan for this project? Has a project manager been assigned to this project? So it's really important to have your fiscal staff on board, as well as have a project manager who's going to oversee this. And is your staff aware of the quarterly reporting to the capital projects monitoring system? That's really, really critical. So you can see that I've answered everything. It's all green. We're good to go. It says 100% complete here of 22 questions. If I go over here to my summary box, I can see I'm green, good to go, complete, and no errors. Okay. Questions on this set of questions here? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, John.
Can you explain that interface with Pueblos again? That question, I forget what number it was.
Let's see here.
2019?
Yep. 19. What is your interface with tribal or Pueblo government? This is Tasha, primarily for your PSAs that 5 and 6, right? That are interfacing with the tribal governments and Pueblo governments. Are there other instances where interface with tribes or Pueblos would be appropriate for these types of applications?
No, that would be, if I remember what this one is for, describe your interface with tribal or Pueblo government or community. So this would be, Christy, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this a section where if they've reached out to their legislature or?
This is about the facility itself. So if the facility is
Oh.
located within a tribe or Pueblo, have you been interfacing, what's your interface with the tribal or Pueblo government or nation? But are there other instances where if it's not a tribe or Pueblo senior facility, would they have an interface with the tribes or Pueblos?
Most likely not. Most of our, we don't have, that I'm aware of, I could be corrected, that we have any nonprofits running any tribe, Pueblo, or nation. So this would be just, tribal interface. It would be, most of the facilities are owned. There are a few that have 8 Northern, that are their fiscal management. Those ones would be the only when they would mention, that they're through 8 Northern.
That's fiscal management. It's not ownership of the facility. The facility still is owned by the
This
tribe.
is a really good question. We haven't had any questions about this, so this is really good.
Well, we're dealing with that question right now, so.
Yeah, so what I think if you have a specific instance that might kind of deviate from the norm, I think interfacing with Tasha and your PSA representative would help. And then you also have an opportunity in the comment column to indicate what that relationship is, if it's something that's a little bit different. Thank you for mentioning that, because you can use the comment column to talk about maybe more specific relationships that you have.
And if there's any issues as we're reading through the applications, we'll reach out.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions? Somebody came off of mute.
I have a question. I just missed the first, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I missed the first couple minutes of the meeting when I jumped on. Now, is this for everything that we're working on, or is this everything moving forward? That we need to create an account for each one of our projects?
This is for the next capital outlay cycle. So this is going to be for
Okay.
next year's legislative session. So this application is for 2026. So if you're going to apply for next year to go before the legislature next year, this is the application.
Okay, perfect. I understand. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Great questions.
Thank you. Okay. At this point, you will want to save your question set. I am not saving it right now, but you will want to save it. And that will be really critical. Okay. So that is the fiscal and facility question set. So now we'll talk a little bit about vehicles and equipment. Vehicles and equipment will require specific uploads. You can see that we have some red dots that are uploads that are required, and a yellow dot means that it is optional. You will need to complete this before you can move forward. And what will be included in this area for vehicles and equipment is the question set. And we'll go over that here in a moment. Quotes or cost estimates related to project oversight. Applicable quotes or cost estimates for vehicle purchase. Documentation that there's budget for ongoing maintenance and repair. Tasha mentioned that before, that it's really critical to be able to maintain and repair your vehicles. And any other additional documents that you think would help to make for a strong application. Again, you will need to review the instructions when you open your question set. This is the instructions tab, and you'll need to read through all of the information with regards to completion of this question set. So for the vehicles and equipment question set, we both mentioned at the very beginning of this that your question number 1, which is your project summary and narrative, is the most critical aspect of this application. This is worth 50 points. And for each area that is scored, we indicate how much it's, what the scoring amount is. So for this particular question, it's 50 points. This is your opportunity to share what your project's about, why it's important, why are these vehicles needed to allow your facility to function better. What types of vehicles do you need? And to provide your full justification. You will need to use the comment box to fill out your narrative. And if you want to put in multiple paragraphs, you'll just press Alt and Enter to continue within the comment box. Okay. But this is really critical, and you'll note this on the meals and equipment question set as well. Then you'll need to respond if the project addresses a health, safety risk, or hazard to the public. Are you ready to proceed with the project? Explain yes or no. And again, that's 10 points. List the type and quantity of vehicles that you are interested in purchasing, and provide that information here. And I will indicate here, you'll see, is this project ready to proceed? You need to explain more about that, because it said a comment is required for this response, and I wasn't green and ready to go. Now I'm green and ready to go. Are you adding new vehicles to the inventory? And explain in the comment box here. Have you asked for funding in the past, and have you received that funding? Talk a little bit about that. Where do you stand in that project? Have you met with your local elected official to plan for this project? And if so, who? It's really good if you get with your local elected officials, especially your state legislators, who will be looking at this funding next legislative session. So it's really important to have those discussions. Do the requested funds complete the vehicle purchase? Yes or no? What is the total project cost? What is it going to be all overall? But the important part here too is that you need to indicate what the amount of the request is going to be. That's worth 10 points. How much total are you asking for? If you have another funding source, you need to share that, but what is your total amount of the request? What is the vehicle amount? What's the equipment amount related to that vehicle? What's the installation amount, delivery, cost projection for maintenance? Are you prepared to provide ongoing maintenance and repair? Did you upload documentation? There's budget commitment regarding that maintenance and repair. Did you upload applicable quotes and cost estimates? And did you upload additional documents? So you can see I have 19 questions. Our status is green, complete. Go over here to your summary and you're 100% complete. Okay, do you have questions on this question set at this point about vehicles? Okay, again, you will want to save that. And then you will be going over to save your question set, because you will want to save that once you have completed it. And then you will need to upload it. So here's your question set, your opportunity to upload. You will click upload file, and then you'll find that question set file that you saved, and you will upload it here. You'll then upload your quotes or cost estimates, vehicle purchase, a project oversight, vehicle purchase, documentation that you have budget commitment for ongoing maintenance and repair, and any additional documents. You can see we're red and yellow, but once you're green, you're good. And you have completed the vehicles and equipment application. Okay. Right. Any questions on this particular aspect? Okay. So let's talk about meals and equipment. Very similar process. Meals and equipment, you'll need to upload a question set. You'll need to upload applicable quotes and cost estimates and any additional documents. Red means it's required, yellow means it's optional. Open up your meals and equipment question set and read through the instructions. And then you'll click on tab 1 and you'll be able to complete this information about the meals and equipment project that you want to complete. Again, project narrative is really critical. It's worth 50 points. It's your opportunity to talk about the meals that you are serving at your senior facility, why you need this new equipment, why you need other equipment to assist in providing the services to seniors. All of that needs to come here. It's worth 50 points and it's really critical, again, in the comment column. You'll need to indicate if your agency is prepared to provide the ongoing maintenance and repair. This is worth 10 points. Can you keep up with that equipment? Did you upload that you have budget commitment for doing that? Do the requested funds complete the project? Yes or no? And again, you have that opportunity to talk about providing all the basic information about cost. What's the total project cost? What's the amount of the request? What's the equipment amount? What's the installation amount? And what's the delivery amount? Are the requested funds sufficient to complete the purchase, installation, and delivery? Yes or no? Have you asked for funds in the past? And if you have received those funds, what is the status of that project? Have you met with your elected official to plan for this project? And if so, who? Are there measures for energy reduction and energy sustainability? Did you upload your applicable quotes and cost estimates? Yes or no? And did you upload additional documents? I'm 100% green here. I'm 100% green here, so I'm complete and no errors. Okay, so that's meals and equipment. It's a little bit more streamlined than some of the others you'll see. Do you have any questions on this question set? Very good. So then you will save this question set, again with the meals and equipment and your senior center name, and then upload it. Upload it under the meals and equipment question set. You'll see it's green once it's been uploaded. Applicable quotes and cost estimates, it's green, and additional documents, and you have completed this application for meals and equipment. Once you have uploaded everything that you are really interested in making sure that your evaluators are going to be able to evaluate you on and have made your case for this application, you must complete step 3. You will scroll down to the bottom of the page and it'll say step 3, submit and finalize. When you click this box and it turns blue with the white check mark, it says, I understand that I can't change any of the submission details or documents once the project closes. Once you click on this, you cannot make any further changes. So that's important that if you need to come back and go back and do some work, you need to double check that you have everything that you need. You will then receive this submission receipt within Bonfire itself, and you will receive a confirmation email. Okay. And then, let's see. Yeah, that's it. That's it for this particular aspect. So Kevin, you asked, are question sets available to download to complete offline before starting the application? No, actually it's in the application process itself. So you need to go into the portal, and in the very beginning of the portal, you will see the download opportunity. So you will download those at the very beginning of the portal. But as I said before, if you're in process, you will be able to come back into the portal at any point in the process itself. It's just the question sets themselves that you need to save. And this training is recorded. And there, I have also worked with Tasha to come up with some other good videos for you to walk you through this process. Okay, timelines, Tasha.
Trying to make sure I'm on mute, but I have you on the larger portion so I can pop out because I can't read because I'm older. So we've already offered some training. Our last training is tomorrow. So that started in November and will end tomorrow. We will be doing one-off trainings as requested by entities. So please know if the training videos and the little vignettes that Christy created are not being helpful, we're more than happy to provide additional training. So the application opened a week ago, and then it'll close April 8th, 2025. That is a Tuesday, and it'll close at midnight. Not that I want any of you guys to be completing your applications at 11:59, but I probably will have a few. After that, between April 8th and June 30th, the committee will be reviewing, making and recommending applications for our ICIP, which will go to our cabinet secretary and be submitted on our ICIP on June 30th, 2025. Now, during this time, please remember that these are going to be for next year's legislature. So once the applications have been reviewed and scored, regardless if you are approved or not, you will receive an email from our office stating the status of your application, if it's moving forward or if it was denied. We will try and get into more information on why it was denied, but you might just get a denial letter and then you can always reach out to me and we can review your application. It's a little bit harder to try and do these one-off emails of individually. This last year was the first year that we actually sent out letters to notify applicants that their projects were either moving forward or if they didn't, and how to help them get to the next stage, which is for this application process. So just know it does take us some time to score and be ready to send this information out. Once it goes to or is added onto our ICIP, we still have to, as a department, go and defend our request to we still have to go to the Capitol and provide information at hearings. After that, then there's usually a few more hearings, and then it's actually put on a bill that's going to support all of the capital outlay. Once that information comes up, we will be keeping you posted on which bills to keep watch, because sometimes it depends if there's going to be a Senate bill or if it's going to be a House bill for capital outlay. We will be posting that on our website, which reminds me I do need to add our website information in the chat, so that way you can make sure to follow us and stay on top of those capital outlay projects. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you. And, you know, we have recorded all of these different trainings, in-person trainings that we've done. And we have one more tomorrow at 1:30 for planning and design. And there's some information there for the website resources and the overall information for you with regard to aging and long-term services. So thank you for your attention today. It's been really great working on this project. I think that it's really been a great thing, and it's kind of a change in the way that things are being done. So Cornelia, you have a question?
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
Okay, yes, I'm the program supervisor for Crown Point Agency Deltex office. I do have a question on the account setup. So I have 20 senior centers under my agency. So do the supervisors use their own names for the first name and the last name on the setup? Or is the senior center name have to be on the setup? That's my question.
So when
Are you
you're
able to
going,
understand that, Christy? So
Yeah,
this
so-
might be a point that we're going to be setting up one of those teams, which will reach out to Brian from Bonfire. But Christy, go ahead and add if they're going to be listing their senior name, the senior center, or if they're just, because they're just going to want to create a login to be able to identify themselves.
Right. And I think we've had some applicants in the past that have submitted applications for multiple senior centers. So if you're, one person coordinating for them, you can do that just as a note. But if you have a team and you have multiple folks, we can kind of walk you through that process to see if you can be connected. If you're the main oversight umbrella, but you have other folks that are going to be applying kind of under you, how that might work. So stand by. We should have more information on Friday for you on that.
And for these questions, because we've had this kind of added before for those entities that have multiple senior centers that they're going to be applying for, we will be adding a section under our the capital outlay application for facts. And also in the outgoing emails, you should be receiving an email every week until the application closes. You may find pertinent information under, we can add a section that's going to be facts. And once we get additional questions and those answers, we can post them in those emails.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No problem. We want to help as much as we can.
Thank you.
And John, so Christy, it sounds like they'd want our PDFs, so I might be listing those on the website as well, so they can follow.
100%. You know, we've got the PDFs of those, so we can get those for you. Okay. Good, very good conversation today.
This was fantastic. Did you want to go back to? Yes. So I wanted to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy schedule. We know that running a senior center takes a lot of time. You guys still start really early in the morning, so thanks for hanging on. I know that this time is usually to submit reports and get any of your paperwork and administrative done. So we really do appreciate it. Again, this has been recorded. Give me at least 24 hours and we'll get it posted to the website. And we'll make sure to also add these PDFs for each of these sections available to you. We'll get the most up-to-date ones and get those posted. On those, please give me 24 hours and then you can check our website. I did list that in the chat. If you have any questions, don't forget on Wednesdays, we have our technical assistance hours from 3 to 4:30. Those are available. You can find it on our signature line, and then you can also find the meeting link on the Capital Outlay webpage. Thank you so much, everyone. If there isn't any further questions, I'll let you guys all go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.